music going to be as they come to the checkered flag? What a race this has been.
Ice oval racer Brett Keilback doesn't hold back when asked what all racers have in common.
It's crazy. We're all a little nuts. I mean, we're in the sportsman class. We're running, 90 plus miles an hour, and we're pitching a 500-pound plus sled into the corner. And I mean, it's just, there's no other racing like it.
Combining high speeds in a frozen racetrack isn't something for the faint of heart.
You have to have nerves of steel for sure. You can't be afraid to go out and crash, or it's all part of racing, and you kind of have to be able to, a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work, and you got to be able to just go out there with a clear mind and focus on what you're after. And I mean, that's winning for all of us.
There's no doubt that the dangers in this sport are very real. When riding a snow machine that's moving like a missile, even the slightest steering adjustment can be trouble for yourself and other racers.
You're going so fast on the track, a lot of that just comes down to instinct. When you start to think about things, that's when mistakes happen. You kind of just drive on reaction, and you're just driving strictly on instinct at that point.
And the journey to develop those instincts began at a young age, going to the racetrack in Beausejour and watching his dad's race team, Rodney Keilback and Barry Clem. Brett and his brothers spent countless hours working on the race sled, getting it ready for races. In 2003, Brett's father passed away. Rodney and Barry had already stepped away from racing at that time, but their legacy and hard work inspired Brett to start racing again in 2012 at the age of 21.
I grew up on snowmobiles, and I thought, hey, this might be something I could try, right? And we got into it, and we started out on the back of a pickup truck, and we showed up to the race with a small tool set and no spare parts, and we actually had a pretty good weekend. I think I finished 4th or 5th in my first ever final, and I was excited for it. I was never discouraged. In a couple weekends, we started doing better and better, and that's when I kind of realized there might be something here.
And with his dad's friend Barry as a mentor, the next generation race team was born.
Well, I mean, my dad was always the mechanic. Barry was the racer, but I mean, growing up back then, there was always huge turnouts in Beausejour. All the big teams were here. And, I definitely idolized Barry because that's what I was around, right? So, it was, even though they were a small team, they raced sometimes out of a pickup truck. They had a cube van they raced out of. That's what I kind of grew up idolizing, and that's just kind of gone from there. And that's where my race number 39 came from too, was their team numbers.
I always kept telling him, for my own experience, whenever I raced, you put your helmet on, you put your gear on, and you finally put your bottom on that seat, you have to become one. You go out there as one. Not two pieces, but one. And that's the only way to do it.
Brett worked hard and listened to Barry's advice. He was hooked, and there was no turning back.
Watching the races is one thing. I mean, I still enjoy when I'm not racing. I love to be there and watch it and be a part of it, but it's a totally different feeling on the track. I mean, just you know, just the speed, the adrenaline, you know, just the competition in itself. Like it's one thing to watch it, but it's just, yeah, there's no comparison to actually being out there.
As a racer, I feel he's developed confidence, and each time you go out there and you run a line that you figure you can run, to run your own race amongst all the traffic or competitors, as they call them. And if you can do that successfully, you can get somewheres with that.
With his brother and Barry in his corner, Brett's every win or loss fueled him to push himself and move up from his humble beginnings.
It definitely drives you to work harder. I mean, when you're first getting started out, it can be a little bit discouraging. I mean, there's so much to learn. I mean, we didn't know anything about the sled that we had. We didn't know anything about the rules, about what we were doing, set up, right? And there's just, when you start to learn more and get better, and it drives you to work harder, because you kind of get a taste for going fast, basically. I mean, once you get that first win, you want more of it.
And certain moments stand out in Brett's memory.
Some of my highlights, I mean, on my own sled, I've won a lot of races. You know, I think it was December 2018 in Beausejour, both classes. I clean swept. You know, I had eight heats, 8 wins, won both finals, and you know, I've had a lot of successful weekends in Beausejour, and you know, traveling down to the States, I've had a lot of good weekends. You know, a lot of breakdowns, a couple crashes that kept me from winning, but you know, I've been pretty fortunate.
Brett's success caught the attention of another racing team, DJ Saluk, Daryl Saluk, and Eric Wall of Saluk Racing. At the end of the 2018-2019 season, they approached him with an offer to race with them on one of their sleds. Before the break, we heard how Brett grew up around the racetrack and how he was inspired to race himself years after the death of his father.
We watched him on the 500 for many years, and he's a great racer. And we had a spare sled in the shop. I mean, it was my old 600, and at the time we asked Brett if he wanted to race it, and he said, yeah, sure. He got out there and he was doing extremely well right off the start, so he continued to stick with us from there on.
I jumped on Saluk's sled for the first weekend, and me and DJ had a really good weekend, first, second, every race. And you know, I kind of just started with, you know, DJ was beating me every time out, and you know, I was like, man, I'm like the Cal Naughton on this team. Like, you know, I'm always there for the slingshot for DJ to get the win, right? And that's, you know, and then that's kind of how it started. And now we've got our, you know, the shake and bake hats, and you know, we get the decals on our helmets. But you know, we're definitely racing as a team. It's a different mentality when you're racing as a team. You know, I like winning too, just as much as DJ does. But you know, if DJ beats me, or if I beat DJ, it's, you know, at the end of the day, that's still 2 good places for the team.
Racing, not just as teammates, but also as friends. They have fun while also recognizing the skills brought to the track.
I think we push each other, for sure. I respect DJ as a driver and as an opponent. I'm out there to win. I'm going out there to beat him every time, but I mean, I'm racing with respect, you know, like I'm not gonna try and make a questionable pass or something, but when I see the back of that 16 sled, I'm gonna drive as hard as I can to, you know, show him his old sled, right? So it's competitive for the better. I think we definitely kind of feed off each other.
He's a fast racer, that's for sure. He's picked up on the old sled big time. Like from where I left off with it, he's definitely cruising a lot faster than what I did. I mean, there's been a little more work into it too, but he's definitely riding it out really well. If I could give him some pointers, I would just, say to lay off the back of my sled or off the front of me a little more so I could win a little more races.
Brett loves being a part of the Saluk racing team and is grateful for all the people who have supported him from day one and helped him get to where he is.
I have a lot of friends that are very supportive of it. When I was racing on my own, I had a big crew of friends and family. I always had a lot of people there to help me out, and anything I needed I could get. And even racing with these guys now, Daryl, DJ, Eric, they're always there. Anything we need, you need the support. You need people there because it's so hard to do it on your own.
This 29-year-old is confident, but never ignores advice from those who've raced before him. Brett has an eager mind, or ear, when it comes to experience.
With Barry and Daryl now, the tuning stuff you can always learn, but sometimes you can't replace just the knowledge of driving. There's a lot of things where, yeah, we were getting a fast sled, but I still had a lot to learn on the track, and just from say mentors and other experienced riders on the track, you can pick up a lot of little tricks and tips, and a few little things can make the difference of being third place and first, right?
Right now, I'm very excited for him right now because it almost seems like where I left off and with Rodney where we kind of left off, and it's nice to see Brett continue and take part in the race circuit.
But it's not just the driver. Figuring out how to create a perfectly built machine is an essential piece of the puzzle.
Sled setup is definitely the biggest one. I mean, I know I can drive, and I know DJ can drive. We've got a lot of talent in the trailer, but sled setup from day to day to track, everything can change, and it's always about being able to get the most you can out of your sled and always trying to make the right changes on everything.
Brett knows that can be a time-consuming process, but he knows he has to be patient to be successful.
That's just part of racing. Sometimes you don't always get it right. Sometimes you make adjustments that do slow you down. But that's all learning, right? You've got a notebook, you write things down, and you make some changes. Okay, this didn't work, and you jot it down, and you go back to what you had, and then you try over again. And that's how you learn and grow as a team. Is if you're not willing to try something new, you're never going to get better, right? So it kind of sucks. You make some changes and you might not win the race you want to win, but I mean, that's the only way you're ever going to get faster.
Even if you feel everything is set perfectly and ready to go, Brett says, come race day, you still need to be in the right headspace.
A lot of nerves leading up to it. I mean, sometimes big race I might get a little anxious. As soon as I get on the track, my mind is clear, I'm set, I'm focused, and at the end of the day, there's one goal is I want to go out there and run a clean race and win. But I mean, it's just, you get into the zone because you can't have any distractions. You're dealing with so much speed.
Obviously, crossing that finish line first is the ultimate goal. But losing can help you become a better racer in the long run.
Sometimes you just get beat by a good driver and a good sled, and I mean that's part of racing. I mean you're not going to win every race, but if you have room for improvement, you kind of have to take every race and kind of analyze it. Was it me? Was it the sled? Where can I improve? Where can the machine improve?
Before the break, we learned how Brett and DJ work together to make each other better and how it takes time to perfect a sled. Let's see what other challenges lay ahead. From the stands, some people may think this sport looks easy. Others have been known to say, they're just riding a snow machine. I can do that. Which begs the question, how does Brett react to that?
Not a chance. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of time. And I mean, some people can hop on and have a lot of success right away, but they're just naturally gifted drivers. And for a lot of guys, it takes a lot of years. And to really, it's one thing to go out there and drive and keep it on two skis, but it's another thing to go out there and do it, at the top level of competitiveness.
For those new racers just starting out in the sport of ice oval racing, Brett says there's one trait you need to have.
Determination. It takes a lot of time. You could spend weeks on the sled getting ready for 1 weekend of racing, right? And then you'll spend all week on it just to get ready for the next weekend. It takes a lot of time. I mean, it's a lot of money, but there's ways you can budget things, but if you want to compete at that top level, you got to be dedicated to it.
Racing has been such a huge part of Brett's life and credits the racing community for doing everything they can to make it a welcoming place for current fans and future generations of racers.
The sport isn't as big as what it used to be, but we're all passionate about it, and we're all speed junkies, and everyone that's involved with it, we're all putting in our best effort to keep the sport going. And that takes commitments from the crews to the drivers to the tracks to the sanctioning bodies. I mean, everyone's got to contribute. So I mean, drivers do have to travel to put on a show, but we're all out there willing to do that to keep this thing going.
With nearly 10 years of racing under his belt, what does the future hold for Brett?
I mean, that I don't know. I mean, we've talked about, for next year already what we're doing with sleds and stuff, and I'm having a lot of fun with these guys right now. So we'll probably be in the sportsman class again next season. Things can change from year to year, right? But for now, I'm having a lot of fun with these guys, and we've been doing really well together. I'm not ready to quit. I'm loving it right now.
I definitely think he has a very strong future ahead in ice oval racing.
And how does Brett think his dad would react if he was still with him today?
Oh, either he'd tell me I'm crazy for spending the amount of money and time that I do, or I think he'd be really proud of what me and my brother and Barry were able to accomplish. We had a good team and a good sled, and even coming here, I've kind of been working really well with these guys, and we've been doing really well.
Oh, I think Brett's dad, I don't know what to say, but he would be just in his glory right now. I'm sure that if Rodney was here now, between himself and myself, I think we would have one hell of a race team. That's what I felt, or I feel, because there would be no end to it.
When we see the smile on Brett's face when he talks about his father, his brother, Barry, the entire Saluk racing team, and the sport of ice oval racing, it doesn't look like Brett is walking away from the racetrack anytime soon.